What is up, my friends? How are we? You are very welcome along to tonight's show. I say show, it's really a chat, isn't it? You're welcome along to tonight's fireside chat with Craig. We've a load to get through. We're going to be talking about Jeremy Frimpong. We're going to be speaking about Ibrahim KONATE and what on earth is happening there. And are we about to lose out with Dean Huijsen with regards to Real Madrid? We'll go through all of that and lots more over the next 90 minutes or so. As always, folks, do appreciate you giving up some of your evening to come and have a chat with me. USA Copeye in from Florida. We love that, mate. Welcome in. Scout Stewart, straight in with the first super chat of the night. Well done, buddy. We love that. Thank you. Appreciate you. I hope Frimpong comes to Liverpool. I think it's really likely by the looks of things now. I'm not going to say I have information on this personally, Stuart. I don't, but taking lead from, many journalists who've been writing about this, it looks as if it's getting close, my man. So we're going to discuss that tonight, of course. Lots more to get through. We'll be taking a little look at why Ruben Amorim looks like he might be buying the tickets for the United staff himself for the Europa League final. And we're going to ask, are we going to lose KONATE this summer? Because that's a question that I think we need answered fairly quickly. Lots of reports today that there has been no breakthrough in those negotiations with EBU over a new deal. So we'll cover that as well. And we'll ask the question, how serious are Real Madrid about Huijsen? And when will they ever go away? Because my God, I'm fed up talking about them. So look, we've got this and lots more to go through, my friends. But as you can see, we are being brought to you tonight with thanks to our incredible friends at Surfshark. And I will be back to get stuck into all of these stories after this quick word from our sponsors. This video is sponsored by Surfshark, the best VPN on the market. Surfshark is an app or browser extension that allows you to change your location to access websites in other countries and keep you safe from hackers. For example, we here in Ireland can access other countries' Netflix libraries, streaming services such as DAZN in Spain for those all-important Premier League games. Surfshark keeps you safe and private by protecting everything you do online. When your device connects to the internet, all that information is, in a way, blurred out. Surfshark is particularly useful for keeping you safe if you use public Wi-Fi, such as a college or a cafe. Surfshark allows you to use one subscription on unlimited devices, meaning that you can even share an account with friends and family. On top of this, Surfshark offers a 30-day money-back guarantee, so if you don't like it, you can even get your money back. Our sign-up offer gives you Surfshark VPN for just over €2 per month and up to 4 months free. Why not scan the QR code on screen or use the link in the description to take advantage of this offer. Right, my friends, we are back and thank you very much once again for your patience and of course to our incredible sponsor, Surfshark. I don't know where to start this stream tonight because part of me wants to talk about KONATE, part of me is really excited about the Frimpong stuff, and then another part of me is trying to figure out what on earth is happening with the race for Dean Huijsen and his signature. It looks as if Real Madrid are coming in strong for Huijsen based off multiple reports. We've seen mixed reporting throughout the day of who was actually favourites for his signature. Matt Law of The Telegraph thinking it is Real Madrid who've stepped in ahead. Other reports suggesting that Arsenal and Liverpool are pushing hard. And then, of course, there's multiple reports, including from the likes of Fabrizio Romano, to suggest that Real Madrid are going to be coming in and trying to get that deal done quickly. So I'm confused. Where do we want to start? Well, I'll leave it up to you guys where you want to start. Adam Brown. So Jim's barbecue is giving school sports day vibes. He's so cheap. Like, it's embarrassing. Genuinely it is. Embarrassing for a club the stature of United to be in that mess. Where Ruben Amorim's fronting up. And Fabrizio Romano, I think it was, posted that just before I went live. This was sent in to me. Ruben Amorim has personally paid for United staff tickets for the Europa League final after being told the club would not pay for them. Now, that's absolutely shocking. They're having some type of watch-along party or something for staff with 2 free drinks or something like that. It's shocking, but it is where they're at, which is why I find it so interesting, Adam. What will happen if they don't get Champions League football, if they lose the Spurs in the Europa League final? I'm very intrigued to see how their finances are. Right. So do we want to get the bad news out of the way and talk about Huijsen's situation, or do we want to get into the positive stuff about Frimpong? I'll leave it up to you guys to figure out which way you want to go with it. We've a little bit about Isak as well. We'll be talking about Ray and Cherky, some shenanigans in the football world as well. So yeah, we've a load to get through and I'm going to be led by you guys where we want to start. So if you're like me, you'll want to get the bad news out of the way, or the potential bad news out of the way. So let's start with the potential bad news. I'm starting to feel less and less optimistic about the idea of us signing Hoyson. Now, the truth is, I don't have any inside information on this that you don't know or anybody else doesn't know. But it's looking like, well, our name's falling further down that list. So Matt Law of The Telegraph posted earlier on to say Real Madrid have stepped up their bid to sign Dean Hoyson and are confident that they can beat Chelsea, who had been considered favourites. But if we look at that and reports from elsewhere, so right here, we've got Fabrizio Romano saying Real Madrid have Dean Hoyson, William Saliba and Ibrahima Konate on their shortlist for a new centre-back. Hoyson has a £50 million release clause and is keen on joining Real Madrid, waiting for the club to move while Chelsea and Liverpool keep pushing. So I'm really confused by it all, because Chelsea favourites, Liverpool favourites, Arsenal favourites, now Madrid have come in. Genuinely don't know what to believe anymore and what the likelihood is of this one. And what makes it even more nerve-wracking, I guess, is we still don't understand what's happening with regards to Konate, because Romano was posted today to say contract talks are not advancing between Liverpool and Ibrahima Konate. And also, to add into this, I was watching Back Pages tonight, last night, again on Sky, as I always do, and I rewound this to make sure I heard it correctly, because I wasn't sure at first, and I didn't want to misquote somebody, but I rewound it back, and it was David Ornstein saying that Kwanzaa is likely to be sold. Now, it's available as a podcast, so you can listen to it yourself and scuttle through it till you find the segment, but he was talking about business at Liverpool, incomings, outgoings, and he started listing off players, and then he mentioned that Kwanzaa could very well be sold this summer. And I said this to people 3 months ago, and people thought I was losing my mind, but it does feel as if the whole centre-back scenario at Liverpool right now is up in the air. We don't know what's happening with Joe Gomez's future. Kwanzaa's future is unresolved. And of course, we know that Ibrahima Konate's contract situation is stalled. So what the hell is happening? And I'm not trying to say this is all bad news, because if there's one thing I truly believe, it's that Edwards and Hughes will have a plan. There's no doubt in my mind that they will be preparing for every eventuality, but it'd be nice to get some clarity around the situation of what is happening with some of these guys. How am I today? I'm good. It's a good day, thank you, my man. It's a good day. Can't complain. I'm really happy with the FRIMPONG stuff, and of course we will move into that in a few minutes, but I'm just genuinely concerned about the whole situation with Konate. This isn't based off anything other than my own intuition and thought processes, but it almost feels as if Edwards would be prepared to sell Konate. Does anybody else get that vibe? And look, I don't know is the honest answer. I have not got a clue what way Ibu will or won't go. No idea. But if you go back a few months ago, you had Paul Joyce, very credible source, saying that Ibrahima Konate and Liverpool are close to a contract extension. You had Fabrizio Romano saying Liverpool and Ibrahima Konate are close to a contract extension, and many others. And now all of a sudden, it's stonewalled. And at a time where Liverpool would have absolutely learnt their lesson from the Trent situation, now we have no clarity on the centre-back future. So if we lost Ibrahima Konate this summer, I sat here with Connor earlier on and we were trying to figure out, if Hoyson goes to Madrid and let's say PSG ended up buying Konate, who are the options on right side of the defence for Liverpool to go out there and bring in? Because most of the centre-backs that we've been talking about over the last year or so, we're looking left-sided. So you're talking your Hincapiés, your Hattos, others, Mark Gay as an example. They were all more thinking cover for left side. But if the worst came to the worst and we lost Ibu, what do we do on the right side of the defence? What are the options there? Who could we look to in the market? Because it's easy to say Liverpool just get it done with Konate, and you and I want that to happen. But we don't know if somebody's gotten in his ear. Because for it to just suddenly stopped when we were really close to getting a deal done, and now all of a sudden, nada, nothing, no updates, and it going quiet, it's a confusing one. So what are we thinking? I want to ask the first question tonight, you know I love a poll, is do you think Konate stays? That's the first question I want to ask, because truly, I'm concerned. And this isn't coming off insider information. Like I've said, I'm upfront and honest about it. I'm just looking at what's been written out there And the fact that this situation is absolutely just frozen has me concerned. And it's a tough one because part of me thinks, right, there will be a number that Liverpool don't want to go past wage-wise per week. And there will be a number that KONATE's camp is going to want each week. Hopefully there's a happy medium somewhere, but it's not giving that type of vibe at the minute. So, will KONATE stay this summer? So the question is, will KONATE stay this summer? So will he stay at Liverpool this summer? I'm going to say, I'll leave it to you guys to try and give an opinion on it. We'll come back to it in a while. But for me, genuinely, it's a concerning situation. I would have been less concerned, for instance, if we knew that we were bringing in Hoyson 100%. But we don't know what's going on there at the minute. So if you lose him, and if KONATE won't sign on, and let's say he went to Paris Saint-Germain, we'd be up shit creek. Now, we do have a little bit of leverage in the KONATE situation in that, you know, there is a World Cup coming up. And if KONATE was to try and, let's say, run down his contract to go to Real Madrid, well, Liverpool have a bit of leverage there because they could say, fair enough, you want to run down your contract, but we're going to bench you for the season. And best of luck getting picked by the French national team for the World Cup if you haven't played for a season. So nobody will want this to get snidey, but it does need a quick resolution. Whether that resolution is the contract extension that you and I and everybody else is hoping for, or whether that is us having to make the difficult decision to sell him, it's going to have to be done quickly. Acentino said, do Real buy both KONATE and Hoyson? So they'll buy Hoyson, but I don't think they've any intention of buying KONATE. I think their plan there is to, if they're looking to get him, to hopefully run down his deal. But Liverpool won't let that happen. There's no world I see Liverpool letting KONATE run his deal down this year. Now, one thing we've got to underline and be really honest about is we don't know what the big man wants. We don't know what KONATE wants in this situation. I'm not going to sit here and try to second guess. But it does concern me that there's been no breakthrough or even positive vibes from any journalists around the contract extension with KONATE all of a sudden. It feels like someone's gotten in his ear. Whether that's Paris Saint-Germain, whether that's his agent, maybe saying, look, hold out here, dude, there's more money on the table. I don't know. But we asked last night, would you pay Ibrahim KONATE £200,000 a week? And those of you who are with us will remember, it was a 50-50 split. 50-50 right down the middle. Fans couldn't be separated. So I'm really concerned by what's going on here. Desiree Doué in Diaz out thoughts. There is no way that Paris Saint-Germain are going to sell Doué. None. Because why would they? He's doing really, really well there. He's an exciting talent, absolutely no doubt about it. But there's no way we're going to be getting him. And look, Diaz wants to stay. We've seen that over the last day or two. Seems like he's happy to be at Liverpool Football Club. And I hope Liverpool give him a new deal. I've never ever understood the desire to want to push Lucho out the door. For me, there are bigger players failing than him, and Darwin and Jota would be two of them. Scouts Gamer said Madrid need to be investigated for tapping up people. So this is definitely a subject that gets brought up quite a bit when I'm chatting with people. But let me put it to you like this. It's easy to get around the tapping up stuff. All you have to do is talk to the agent. So let me pitch you a scenario here. I'm Real Madrid and I want to tap up a player. All I have to do is put a phone call into the agent about another player in the agent's camp, let's say a youngster coming through that the agent has signed and is looking for a potential move in the future. Sit down with the agent and start talking. And, oh, by the way, if Ibu wanted to run down his contract, Liverpool would be annoyed about it, but we'd be happy to take him. And you just get around it by not speaking directly with the player. You just speak with the representative. And as much as we get frustrated by it, it would be foolish of us to deny that it happens openly in football over and over and over again. And we've been, you know, I suppose not as guilty as others, but we've certainly done it in the past. You just can't speak directly to the player. But as I said, bring the agent in, talk to them about anything and just get to that point, and you've gotten around that rule. Mark, how are you, my man? Said, Craig, I believe KONATE will be sold this summer. Madrid has spoken to his agents. Liverpool cannot afford to let him go on a free. Hoyson, I think, is the same situation. I don't think Madrid get the two of them in one summer. So if they want to move for Huijsen, I think they're probably in a very strong position to get a signature. But KONATE, I've always been more concerned about Paris than I have about Real Madrid. And also, I don't know what the level of attraction would be for KONATE. But you're absolutely spot on about the belief he's sold. I'm starting to edge towards I think he's going to get sold as well, because Liverpool can't have another saga. We can't have this one dragging along. And again, why would the conversations have just have dried up so quickly? If somebody must have gotten in somebody's ear. That's all I can think. Because we know KONATE likes the club. You know, he's always a good influence, always positive around when you see him in any videos or when you see him on the training ground. But I can't say that I'm not concerned at the sudden impasse in this negotiation. Eddie Cox-Wilkin says, players can't keep holding the club to ransom. So this is where I will break away from my usual talk about the club to say I implicitly trust Michael Edwards in this situation. Absolutely, without any hesitation. I don't think Edwards is going to want Liverpool to be bullied around again. So I think we will see a swift resolution to this one way or the other, Eddie. And you're right. We can't allow this situation to happen again. We're going to have to look at the length of contracts. For instance, when we speak about Frimpong in a while, there's talk there of a 5-year contract for Frimpong, which he's happy to take. So yes, mate, the days of signing players on 4-year deals probably have to be limited now, because you've got to tie them down for longer, because we can't have this situation going where from 2 years out a player starts running down a deal. And I don't know, truly I don't know what was the point that stopped these negotiations with KONATE and the club. Maybe David Ornstein, Fabrizio Romano or somebody else can give us some more light on that, but it just concerns me that something that was so close to getting done now seems to be a million miles away and not progressing. Do Liverpool use KONATE as an exchange deal with either PSG or Real? So, again, hard to say. You know, I'm sure every avenue will be explored, Santino. Rodrigo, as an example, we'll talk about him in a while. He hasn't even left his house, apparently, really, over the last few days, and is really annoyed by being overshadowed by the likes of Bellingham and Mbappe and being pushed down. So he's probably going to want to move somewhere this summer. I'd be very happy if Liverpool were looking to utilise something there. But I really don't. I don't think Liverpool will want to grease Real Madrid's palm with money for someone like Rodrigo, because I think Edwards felt like that ship has sailed. I hope I'm wrong on it, because I really like Rodrigo, but like I've mentioned a few times, I don't see the natural fit of where he drops into the team at the minute. And I feel like if we're annoyed as fans about Real Madrid's actions and the way that they've been going about things over the last few months, and particularly with the Trent stuff, can you imagine how frustrated and annoyed the higher-ups at the club are? Because, let's be honest, when you're owning a football club, it's a pissing contest. And I remember the stories about John W. Henry in Barcelona and how there was some bad blood there, shall we say. And I wonder, is it the same feeling here with Real Madrid? We don't buy players anymore, said Alex Macklin. Well, I don't know where you're going with that, to be honest, mate. It's not even a sensible statement that we don't buy players anymore. We've literally just bought a goalkeeper and we bought Chiesa. And look, they're not players that have helped us, but, you know, we have to believe that this summer there's going to be some money spent on transfers. It's just, it couldn't not be the case. Will said, evening, Craig. With Frimpong and possibly Kirkes would be a great start to summer signings. Yeah, it would. And look, it does look like, Will, that Frimpong deal is moving along quickly. Now, I get annoyed when I see Liverpool accounts undermining our own club in the media. So the stories, let's say, posted today, loads of positive stuff about Frimpong to Liverpool from far and wide, from Germany, from the UK, from other parts of Europe. And then I see a Liverpool fan account saying Liverpool would want to move quickly or Barcelona might march in. And I'm just thinking, why don't our journalists actually do what Madrid and other clubs do and big up us in the fucking media and say, well, they'd be wasting their time. Frimpong's fully on board with coming to Liverpool. We need to take a leaf out of their book, because no matter what we think, the transfer world at times is a battle for hearts and minds, and it's a battle for clubs seizing the initiative in PR with regards to a player that they're going after. And if you don't learn the lessons from the likes of Real Madrid and Barcelona who do it, you're just going to keep being the victim of it. So I really wish we'd stop undermining ourselves in the media. Harvey is staying despite not being a regular. Is he? I don't think so, but we'll have to wait and see. From my research, he's likely to move on. There's 5 Premier League clubs that I know have noted interest in him. Newcastle really keen on him. And what's the point of them staying if Arne Slot doesn't trust them? We don't have the ability to go through... And by the way, Neil, I'm not having to go with you at all here, mate. We're not going through another season of looking at the manager not playing players when we need something happening in a game, or we need somebody to be rested and rotated. We can't sit through that again. So we have to be decisive. And some of those are going to be decisions that you and I won't agree with. And the Elliott one is probably one of them, because I want him to stay. I love Harvey Elliott. But what's the point if the manager doesn't want to use him? Dad remembers when Kevin Keegan got booed. It's nothing new. Fair play to see them. They can express whatever behaviour they want. The media has gone nuts. It's another load of hypocrisy, Stargirl, to be honest with you. United fans showed up outside Rooney's gaff, and it probably got less coverage than the Trent getting booed by a few Liverpool fans did. The hysteria and the faux outrage has been absolutely nonsense, to be honest with you, from the outside. Ashton, how are you, my man? Appreciate you, Ashton Ratcliffe. Thank you, mate. Or Ratcliffe, thank you, mate. You're not in relation to Jim, are you, mate? No, of course you're not. You've spent money. Of course you're not, mate. Jim doesn't spend money. Anyway, if you were to bring in 5 players from rival team and give them 5 players, who would that be and why? Loving the channel. Keep up the good work. Oh, God. From one team? I'd probably raid Barcelona, to be honest with you, if I could. Start bringing in the likes of Yamal, Gavi, Pedri, and a few of the other talented youngsters there, and start pawning them off. I don't know, players that we don't want to players that are on the fringe. So, yeah, probably that. Oh, we're going to have a conversation about Stefan Bajcetic later on, so remind me just in case my dumb ass forgets. Eddie said, I'm sorry if that sounded a bit rude. I certainly didn't interpret it as rude at all, my man. It's a fair point. We can't. I agree. It's doing my head in, mate, that we're in these positions. So, no, you didn't sound rude at all, Eddie. Don't need to apologise at all, my man. Soren, lovely to see you again, my friend. How are you? Said, hi, Craig. I'll be happy with Frimpong if we also get a defensive right back. Frimpong's season heat map is identical to Salah's. He does not defend deep, and we do not play a 3-4-3. We have a Reed type if Connor gets injured or to come on in the last 20 minutes. So I've explained why I think Frimpong could be exciting and give us various options. He could cover Salah for the AFCON even, if we need to. He can cover Conor Bradley. He can play in advanced positions. And it took me a while, Soren, to kind of be won around by the idea of Frimpong. But now that I am on board, I can't not see it now. I want him. I want him at the club. I did realise, by the way, that he spent so long at Man City. He is homegrown 100%. So that's going to help us with the homegrown quota, as we've spoken about many times. And yet, your heat map I've seen, and he certainly does play more advanced. But then again, Leverkusen did play with a different system to Arne. And I just wonder, are we looking to, again, maybe just bring in variations in case Arne Slot wants to play in different ways? The way I try to think about it is, under Jurgen Klopp, I remember many games where we started out with Andy Robertson, and let's say that game was level or we needed to get something from it. I remember many, many times where Kloppo would take off Robbo and bring on Costas, and I used to sit there and think, why is he doing that? And then you would see Costas be 15, 20 yards further up the pitch and basically just being an attacker. And I can see a similar situation on the right-hand side with Frimpong. So it's not done and dusted 100% yet, but it's certainly on the way. Cheers to players joining and staying at LFC, winning the Prem for at least the next 3 years, and Craig covering it. Cheers to broccoli. Thank you, my man. Appreciate you. My Champions League trophy arrived today, by the way, my full-size one. Well, it arrived yesterday, but I put it together today. And it's just there right now beside me, looking all shiny and sexy. Right, I've so much news to get through, so I'm just going to fly through some of it, if that's okay with everybody. I will get to all the Super Chats and membership posts that I've not got to yet, so don't worry about that, but I don't want to forget half the stories that I need to cover, so bear with me for a minute while I fly through them. Right, so let's start off from what we start picking up earlier on today and work our way down through. Liverpool in advanced talks to sign Jeremy Frimpong after contact reported last week, said Fabrizio Romano. Understand Liverpool approached Bayer Leverkusen to discuss the €35 million release clause structure, talks underway. Now remember yesterday we mentioned Frimpong's agent posting to say we work in and around Manchester. Well, it looked like he could have been on his way for a chat with Liverpool. Florian Plettenberg, Sky Germany, said, understand Liverpool are seriously pursuing Frimpong. Advanced talks have already taken place. Following detailed analysis and due to his availability, he's currently one of the top options for LFC to potentially replace Trent. Then we move on to Kicker, another German publication, that said Liverpool are close to signing Dutch international Jeremy Frimpong from Leverkusen. Talks are at a very advanced stage, only minor details remain. Club are ready to trigger the release clause. A 5-year deal until 2023 is on the table. And then we'll go through another report from Bild that said Frimpong is set to join Liverpool. They'll activate his release clause and he'll sign a contract till 2030. Then we have Fabrizio Romano on TikTok saying negotiations are underway between Liverpool and Leverkusen. They're discussing the payment terms and the structure of the €35 million release clause. Liverpool are in very advanced talks with Frimpong on a 5-year contract. And then we go to Lewis Steele, who said, it is understood that Leverkusen were first made aware of Liverpool's interest in Frimpong back in December 2024, and that has accelerated in the last 6 weeks since Trent Alexander-Arnold told Arne Slot in March of his intention to leave. Frimpong is very keen on the move. So I could take you through probably another 4 or 5. Here's another one from Romano. Conversations advancing between Liverpool and Frimpong. He's absolutely pushing for the move. He wants to wear the red shirt next season. Deal absolutely on, in all caps. Now, you know me. I love a bit of shithousery and I love to have a bit of fun. So there's been only one real journalist, let's call him unnamed journalist for funsies, who has poo-pooed this and said, I trust my source on this, and my source says that Liverpool aren't going to sign Frimpong. Let's wait and see what happens, shall we? Because it's a big, bold claim to make in the face of so much optimism from many, many other journalists. So let's wait and see quite who's right on this one. But don't worry, I'll inform the local constabulary just in case they need to do the rounds or make a call or anything like that, because I know how touchy some of these guys are. By the way, unnamed journalist tried to call me a bully as well. I don't know if I ever told you that part in the comments when they sent the DM calling me everything under the sun for tagging them in a Twitter post, which I didn't even post, but I do love how touchy they are. Pledigo, Florian Plettenberg said Frimpong wants to leave Leverkusen. He's informed the club. It just keeps going on and on and on. Another report said Frimpong talks have gone well and are about to be successfully concluded. Fees around €40 million. So it looks like, barring most journalists on the planet being wrong, Frimpong is about to sign for Liverpool. So that, I think we can say, is close. Thomas Arujo, thoughts? Don't know much about Thomas Arujo, in all honesty, Aaron. So, sorry, I wish I could add more light to it, but not one that I know much about, mate. Sorry. Doesn't mean anything other than this dum-dum doesn't know anything about him, though. Ashton Radcliffe said, love that about Jim, the joke. You'll never walk alone. Thank you, bro. He's so tight, isn't he, Radcliffe? I can't believe what's going on there. Aaron said, would you give Dan's an opportunity to earn a regular first team spot next season? I've always rated him. So my thought process on Dan's has not really changed. It's always been similar one to Stefan Bajcetic. No doubt about his quality. No doubt about the fact that he'll put the ball in the back of the net. But do have to see him get a run of games. So for me, I'd like to see Jayden Danns go on loan, maybe even for just the first 6 months of next season, or at least for a season with a callback clause in there or something if Liverpool need to bring him back. Because he needs to play and he needs to show that he can get past the back injuries that he's been struggling with. And that's really important at this stage of his development, to make sure that he gets game time and is playing regularly, because you don't want to stunt that development. It's a difficult one. We're probably in a position where if this was a year, 18 months down the line, we'd probably be talking about the centre forward situation in a different way, and Dan's maybe being thought about as the cover for one of the forwards who may move. But right now, I just feel like he needs to play, and I feel like he needs to do what Bajcetic did. And while we're talking about Stefan Bajcetic, he is going to be given a chance in pre-season. Finally started to see some news about this coming out. Arne Slot obviously happy with how he's gone since he's gone to Las Palmas, and the thought process is that he's going to be given a look at in pre-season to show the manager before any, I guess, decision is made on another loan or whatever. But he's been doing really, really well over there in Las Palmas, and I think he's played 11 of the last 14 or something like that. Trey said, "You're so right, Craig. Rotation and squad depth will be key. 5 sub now makes it easier. Most important thing is getting players slot trusts." Rusba said, "Frimpong will be an excellent signing. I wouldn't trust Bradley staying fit for 40 plus games per season. But even if he was, nobody can play that many games really in a season, or at least 2 games a week at the level and the energy levels that these guys put in. It's maybe a bit different to a Virgil van Dijk or an Alisson Becker, let's say. Probably don't cover a similar amount of ground that a fullback would. But I would imagine Arne Slot would have a little smile on his face, having Conor Bradley and Jeremy Frimpong as 2 options on the right-hand side. Certainly brings a smile to this Liverpool fan's face. But, do you know what? I feel like a bit of a mug as well, because I don't like to rewrite history and I don't ever not put my hands up. I remember talking about Frimpong 2 months ago and saying to everybody, I don't think there's any chance of this, lads. I just don't see how it fits in. I don't see how it works. And maybe part of me was still in denial about the whole Trent situation, but here I am now and he's close to coming in and I'm starting to feel a lot more excited about it. And starting to see maybe how he can be utilised a little bit better than I previously thought of. Adam said, "Any updates on signing a striker? Get Alvarez, John." I want Julian Alvarez as well. And again, Liverpool are at least keeping that avenue open. But there was an interesting post from Sami Mokbel of the BBC, and he said this: "Alexander Isak would be intrigued by the prospect of joining Liverpool, but there's no indication that the Swede will force a move." So that's interesting. He's intrigued by the prospect of joining Liverpool, but he won't push for a move. I still don't see a world where Newcastle sell him. But it's always nice to know that the player is at least open to the possibility of it. I think the fact that Newcastle don't really have too many PSR problems that I'm aware of, and certainly David Ornstein doesn't think so when I was listening to him speak last night. I just don't think we can think about Isak. But to get back to your question on Alvarez, nothing really new. And I'm just looking to keep an eye on where Darwin's going to go, because I think we may get a read on potential striker options. If I was to bet and put 50 quid down, and this is, again, not based off inside information, my money would probably be pushed towards Hugo Ekitike or Benjamin Sesko, because they just feel like the more realistic options for Liverpool. But they're also options that I would sit here and say, I'd have to caveat and say, are still somewhat risky, because, well, they just are. You know, Ekitike has had a brilliant season with Frankfurt, but, you know, up and down a bit before that. Has he done enough to show that the price tag that's been put in his head is worthwhile? Unsure. And there seems to be a lot of doubts from few clubs about Sesko, and I don't know if that comes down to the, again, 85 million release clause, or if it comes down to the fact that they aren't sure about him developing into the type of central striker that they'd want. I don't know, because I haven't watched enough of Ekitike and I really can't get a read on the centre forward situation at all. So, yeah, that's the one position I'm absolutely drawing a blank on. I couldn't tell you who the favourite is. Stevie Boy said, Thomas Araujo is a 22-year-old centre-back from Benfica that Liverpool are interested in. Ah, nice. Thank you. I will adhere to do some research on him. Thanks to yourself and the other gent as well for bringing up the name. Yeah, I was kind of becoming stumped as to centre-back options if we did lose KONATE this summer. Now, I don't think I'd be very surprised if we see a summer where we lost KONATE and excuse me, not Huijsen, KONATE and Kwanzaa. The interesting one also is going to be Joe Gomez and what happens there. What does Joe want to do? Because I would move heaven and earth to keep Joe, in all honesty. I know people get frustrated by his injuries, but he's so versatile, so dependable when he is free. I would hope to keep him. What do you think is going to happen with Ben Doak? I would say he's getting sold. Unless the plan has changed from when I was last informed about his situation, I think he's getting sold. I think 30 to 40 million quid and he gets sold. Will somebody pay that? Well, let's wait and see. Is he a good player? Absolutely. And I would like him to get a chance, but it just depends on if the offer comes in. I think if the right money comes in, Ben Doak gets sold this summer. And it's one of those that I've never really understood why he wasn't given a chance. Maybe Liverpool looked at him and thought, not really developing as much as we'd hoped for. Had a loan out with Middlesbrough, done well, of course, then didn't manage to finish the season well because of an injury, but definitely a talented player. And any of the Celtic fans that I spoke with speak very highly of him from his time up there as well. But for me, just never gotten any indication that Liverpool see him as a long-term investment. Aaron said, I don't see a world where we get Rodrigo unless we sell Darwin and Lucho for Saudi money and make Gakpo a backup. I'd imagine he would want regular starting selection if moved. 100%. There's no way Rodrigo's going to want to leave Real Madrid to move to a club where he's also not getting a start most weeks or where he feels overshadowed. So that's why I just don't see Liverpool making that move because, I can't see Edwards wanting to hand over the guts of €100 million to Florentino Perez for anybody at the moment because I would imagine those relations aren't fantastic. What's this one? So there's a stat has come out from the most dribble past Premier League defenders per 90 minutes this season, and Trent tops it. 2.12, Ben White 1.5, Christensen 1.5. Interesting. Also, congratulations to young Rian Umoja, who got selected for the England under-17 Euro squad. I forgot to mention that yesterday. That's my bad. And again, thank you to Mark for sending that one on to me. Right, so it looks like now that you guys have opened the Pandora's box for a conversation around Thomas Araujo, Sam Maguire, and his post and his story have just been brought to my attention. So Sam has written that Liverpool have Thomas Araujo on their radar this summer as an alternative to Huijsen. Now, one thing I would, and I'm sure Sam mentions this in his article, but to tie this together, we did bring in Rafael Marquez, the development scout or somebody who worked in development at Benfica. So maybe his knowledge of this player is pushing Liverpool in that direction. Yeah. I've always felt that if Real Madrid come to the table for Huijsen, it's game over. I've always felt that, to be honest with you, because a young Spanish centre-back, I know he grew up in the Netherlands, but he now represents Spain, played senior for Spain in the last set of games, and is very highly thought of. And I think Madrid will probably go, right, well, 50 million we can pay, because he'll probably come in on a relatively low wage. But this piece here, Sam Maguire said, Liverpool have Thomas Araujo on their radar this summer as an alternative to Dean Huijsen. What do we know about him? He's 22, plays for Benfica. He can play right centre-back or right-back, so again, versatile. Interesting one, and thank you. I asked you guys for a name. I said, if it wasn't Huijsen, who? And of course, as always, you guys deliver, so thank you for that one. Right, let's check back in on our poll and see where we are with this one. So we said, will KONATE stay this summer? Nearly 2,000 votes, and so far, people are saying yes, they do think KONATE stays this summer. Wow. We'll let it get to 2,000 and then we'll put out the result of it. For what it's worth, I would be in the I don't think he stays camp. But again, not based off any knowledge or anything, just a gut feeling. So we'll see. We'll let that go. A few more votes. Corbyn said, brutal, but sell Ibu if contract talks fail. They seem to have stonewalled, and why is the great unknown right now. We know that it was close. Multiple journalists said it was close. Multiple credible journalists said that that deal with Ibu was close, and now just quiet. And it has to be because something changed, right? You would imagine that that would be the case. If you're really close to something, if you're really close to buying anything, let's say you're really close to buying a house, and then all of a sudden the landscape changes, something has to have caused that. And if it was close, then obviously the valuations, what he was asking for, what Liverpool were offering him, couldn't have been too far away. And now, a brick wall. Don't know why. Can only assume something has changed or somebody got in his ear. So, we only need 30 more votes to get to 2,000, and then we will end the KONATE vote and see what the results show. So if you haven't voted, we just need a couple more now, and then we're done. So do vote away. So much news to get through tonight, folks. So do keep with me, because I've only touched the surface of all the transfer gossip over the last 24 hours. Right, we need 10 more votes, and then we're done. So if you can't, quick vote. We'll get 2,000, which is a lovely big sample size, and we'll go from there. 97, 2,000 votes. Thank you. Right, so with 2,000 votes now in, 62% of you guys and girls think that Ibrahim Konate stays this summer. Now, I'm in the other camp, but I'm very much in the wanting him to stay camp. Let me make that clear. I want Ibu to stay without any hesitation, but my gut feeling just said something's changed, and because of that, I'm nervous. So yeah, I'd be in the 38% for what it's worth. Right, let's keep going. Nathan said, why do I feel like Romano doesn't like Liverpool? I've got that feeling a few times, to be honest with you. I have. And I've got various theories in my mind as to why that might be, but of course, all of them just that, theories. Let's talk about Kelleher for a minute, because Anything Liverpool posted this to say, according to some Leeds United sources, Liverpool goalkeeper Caoimhín Kelleher has been given the go-ahead to complete a move to Leeds United this summer. Now, there's a good contingent of Leeds supporters over here in Ireland, mainly from an older generation, but I think that would be an interesting move for Kelleher to go to Leeds. They're a club that's going to want to stay up, and I think he will go there, be a number one, if he makes that move. Obviously, Meslier has been all over the place, so that would be an interesting one for me, and let's see if anything comes of it. No mention of a figure in the article, but I think 25-30 million seems to be the number that would at least get Liverpool's interest. Corbyn said, if he's trying to leave for free, not happening. I'd be the same, and I'm sure Liverpool will be the same, but we've got to be really fair to Ibu and say that we don't know what his thought process is. We don't. And I don't want to throw Ibu under a bus because I haven't got a clue. I just can only say that I feel worried about it because I don't see why things would be close and then stonewalled and no progress. And think of it this way as well. Liverpool want positive PR at the minute. All the stuff about Trent over the last week has no doubt frustrated the club. And the stories from Sunday weren't about the 2-2 draw on the pitch between Liverpool and Arsenal. It was about Trent. The whole thing was about Trent. And that's why I think the Frimpong stuff has been escalated quickly. And I think Liverpool are trying to wrestle back and get some positive PR. And that's why I think if there was an easy win with KONATE, it would have been dealt with quickly now, and it would have been pushed on through. So when you keep hearing the same thing, no progress, no progress, no progress, somebody's getting briefed about there being no progress, because you just keep quiet on it otherwise and say Liverpool trying to sort the contract, but no progress makes it feel like somebody's been briefed there to say they're being stonewalled or something. Uh, so I don't like to use the phrase you've used here, but I have to read out your comment because, I want to read it out and it caught my eye. I'm glad the club are looking to move on. You said the bums. I don't like to talk about our players like that. So let's rephrase it. I'm glad the club are looking to move on some of the fringe players lying around, Craig. Some of them have been stealing a living for a good couple of years now. Um, yes, Darwin being the chief culprit in that regard for me, and he should be the first one out the door for me. I said this yesterday, and I don't want to get into another rant about it, but I'm still absolutely disgusted at the state of his accusations towards Liverpool. It does my head in. So for me, at 1 minute past midnight on June the 1st, I want to see a news story that says Darwin Núñez is off to, actually don't really care where, to be honest. Nathan said, I put a pizza on 20 minutes ago and I didn't even turn on the oven. Mate, it happens to the best of us. I've been there, done that. I've recorded a podcast and realised I haven't hit the record button. Or I've recorded a podcast with 3 other people and realised I wasn't recording one of the audios. Yeah, been there, man, done that. When does Mamardashvili officially join us? I would imagine probably. Well, see, a contract would run till July or end of June, but because the season will be over, probably June, some point in June. Right, let's go through some other stories because again, loads. Have you seen the shenanigans? By the way, look, I don't think these people like me very much, but I want to give massive credit to somebody because it's absolute genius. So bear with me 1 second. You may know where I'm going with this one already, but bear with me. So, the Anfield Rap have played an absolute blinder, and fair play to them. It is one of the best bits of banter and scouse humour that I've seen in a while. So the Anfield Rap took up a big sign on the motorway just, I think, leaving Manchester, and it said, just 37 miles to the country's most successful football club. So Manchester, just 37 miles to the country's most successful football club. Big motorway banner with the Anfield Rap logo on it, and fair play. That is absolute top level shithousery. Well played. I nearly pissed myself when I seen it, and I was also raging that I didn't think of it. It's genius. And did you see the shenanigans at Sunderland as well? They made the pitch less wide, so they moved the advertising hoardings closer to the edge of the pitch to stop the long throws from Coventry. I mean, these are the levels of shenanigans in football that I'm right behind. That's proper shithousery. Groundskeeper Willie, how are you, my friend? Said, any word on a left back? I think it should be a priority after we get Frimpong. Keep up the great work, my friend. Look, mate, I would be astonished if it isn't Kirkes and if that isn't close to being wrapped up. We'll talk over the next while about deals that we aren't sure about or that are somewhat subjective. But if there was one name, he's the one for me that I think has to be done. I seen Ian Wright mention it as well. I really do feel like that's done, or not done, but it's going to be done. That I can't see any other scenario other than Kirkes. But who knows? Until he signed on the dotted line. Jarell Haddow's name has been bandied about as well. So let's wait and see. But it feels like Kirkes is the natural successor on the left-hand side. Mark said, well, it's not work, they're losing. Ooh, interesting. Nice. I know we've got a lot of Coventry admiration from certain Liverpool fans. Is that the right word? Admiration? Coventry winning 1-0. Nice. Well, then the shithousery didn't work. But either way, I did appreciate it. What's this one? So let's talk about Ray and Cherky for a few minutes, because a few different posts today from Get French Football News and a couple of others. This one said Liverpool have made inquiries for Ray and Cherky, and he can leave this summer for a fee of about €22.5 million. I don't know. This is one of them deals that really confuses me. I don't think anybody has any doubts about the lad's ability. But why isn't there an arms race to get this guy? He must have something that is rubbing up people the wrong way or something, because for 20 odd million quid, you would imagine clubs would be tripping over themselves to try to get a playmaker like that. And I'm confused. Now, for all the talk that we've heard and stuff about Delap and Chelsea being a favourite, it looks like United are very close to signing Liam Delap, according to reports from Sky and others. Kirkes, that's nearly done, Alex reckons. If Elliot can't get minutes, how is Cherky going to? So I wouldn't sign Cherky. He would not be my number one choice in that position. I wouldn't see that as a real upgrade from Elliot personally. And I think there are other names that I'd like to see Liverpool look at. But I can only tell you guys what's been reported. And there's been reports of Liverpool, I think Spurs maybe, United and a few other clubs talking about Cherky. I've met mixed reviews when I've spoken to people about him. And I've never really gotten much encouragement that he's a player Liverpool are really looking to get. But I just ask why. At that price, why would everyone be holding off on it? It just seems like there must be something there, as in a reason why nobody wants to trigger the deal and get it done. Would I take Ademola Lookman? No. One, he's too old. He's 27, I think, going on 28, Lookman. And there was some absolutely laughable story suggesting that Liverpool were willing to offer a player in exchange for Ademola Lookman. I can't remember who the player was, but it's just no. Liverpool don't want to sign Ademola Lookman. He's not good enough. And also, he's too old. Danny, hope you're well, mate. Nice to see you in. Appreciate you. Liverpool profits. Do you expect a much tighter title race next season? I think we know City will be back challenging, unfortunately. Yeah, I do think it'll be tighter. As long as we still end up top of it, I'll be happy. So, Get German Football News has been speaking about Florian Wirtz. And it looks as if Manchester City have agreed €150 million deal, in theory, with Bayer Leverkusen as a number for his signature. This piece here said Florian Wirtz's camp and Bayer Leverkusen are said to be irritated by the media offensive by Bayern Munich, as his future is still open. Wirtz's representatives are said to have spoken to 4 European clubs, including a new name in Liverpool. Now, Manchester City have been spoken about today in a lot of papers about being interested in Florian Wirtz. But again, I'm going to just ask, how do I phrase this without getting myself in trouble? Surely their charges have to come into consideration here, because I'm going to make a prediction. I'm going to predict that if Manchester City do sign Florian Wirtz, then you're going to see Erling Haaland leave that club within 18 months, because that's the only way all of this can make sense in my head. I get the feeling, despite what he signed on there with Haaland, I just get the feeling he's going to end up in a Real Madrid shirt at some point. And I wonder if they're almost preparing for that, because they already dropped 150 million quid in the last transfer window, the winter one. And now, again, they're looking at rejigging their defence with a right back. Wesley and Tino Livramento has been mentioned. They're speaking about Florian Wirtz now in an attacking perspective. And it would be incredibly worrying if they signed Florian Wirtz, because we all know how good a footballer he is. So yeah, that one concerns me, definitely. I would far rather he went to Bayern Munich then come in. But Bayern Munich are also said to have agreed to trigger the release clause of Nico Williams of Athletic Club Bilbao, as we mentioned yesterday. So much up in the air at the minute. Madrid's own, of course, have posted say, breaking, Real Madrid have decided to pay Dean Huijsen's release clause. The club wants him now. Can we all just agree that we all hate Madrid and want them to fuck off? Seriously, they are just a pest. This is a club that don't want to be in Europe and want the Super League, still openly pursuing it. This is a club that are going in on referees and accusing them of being absolutely biased and in favour of their opponents. This is a club that don't show up to an award ceremony just because Vinicius, I didn't deserve to win the Ballon d'Or Junior, got annoyed along with Real Madrid that he wasn't getting it and that Rodri was getting it. They are just an absolute shithouse and I cannot stand them. And I don't understand why so many in the media landscape just love to praise them religiously and talk about them as some great mythical demon. I hate them and everything that they're about and their arrogance and the way they operate, and especially Perez. I hate them. I'm sick of them. I don't even want to hear their name again. I'm so done with Real Madrid. It feels like they almost have something personal against us as well, where they just want to keep squeezing and squeezing and squeezing. And I hope that we make some statements in this summer window because it feels like we need to. Real do my nutting, said Danny. How did they get away with FFP? So if you actually look at Real Madrid's spending, they haven't spent a huge amount on transfer fees over the last while, and they've sold players for decent amounts of money. So the philosophy is they'll pay transfer fees for a younger player and put them on lower wages, or they'll get players like Trent or others to run down their contract, bring them in on a Bosman, but pay them a nice signing on fee and decent wages. So that seems to be the MO at the minute for Real Madrid. La Liga, as we know, have their own internal financial regulations where all the clubs have to input all of their expenses and income into their supercomputer or whatever it is, and then it comes out with what they're allowed to spend. So it went very quickly from a club a few years ago that were being mentioned as being potentially in financial trouble along with Barcelona to Madrid's troubles just disappearing like that overnight, and Barca being the only club that was really being held as being in trouble financially. Now, I don't know Real Madrid's finances. I don't know them at all. But I also don't believe some of the bullshit about the wages that apparently players are going there for. That they're going there for a lot less than they get elsewhere and signing over image rights and all this other stuff that just, it doesn't quite smell right. That's the fairest I can be about it. Real Madrid should be banned from the transfer market, said Alex. It's just it's the arrogance that gets me though. It's just like the way they're spoken about, the way their media speak, the way the newspapers that are friendly to Madrid speak. It's just like, well, Madrid have decided this is happening now, so yeah, this is happening. And then everybody gets on board, and every publication, every podcast, every fan channel, everybody comes together and goes, yeah, Madrid are getting this guy. It's decided. So now that's happening. And it usually does. And it's really, really frustrating. For how huge they are, it's amazing how classless they are, said the Liverpool prophet. I'm more annoyed that we can't be smarter on transfers like Madrid. Yeah, it's certainly, it's making for one of the most interesting summer transfer windows I can remember in a long time, right across the board. Because you've got multiple clubs looking for a number 9 in a market with few real number 9 options. You've got centre backs at a priority, and yet we have our own centre back that we can't seemingly sign down to a new deal. I think we're going to see a lot of business done by a lot of clubs in this window, but I also think we're going to see some more trades and swaps than you've seen. I think clubs are very mindful of moving people on now to get around PSR requirements and to just keep money floating in through football clubs in and out. So I'm expecting this to be a very interesting window. But for us, it has to be a statement window. We need to back up the promises of a big window and a big summer. And there has to be a statement or two signing in there. There just has to be. If we don't do that, it's just the same old, you know? So let's wait and see what happens. But I'm definitely still in the I'll believe it when I see it camp. When do you think the earliest Frimpong's transfer can be completed? I mean, it can be signed at any point, but it can't be registered until the 1st of June. And I'm also intrigued to see how Liverpool approach this mini little early window. Will they look at it as a way to maybe start to move players out first and, you know, see if they can bring in some money before the window opens for its longest time from the 16th onwards? Or do they try to get a signing or two over the line? Everybody can only complete 2 signings between June 1st and 10th maximum. And then after that, of course, you can do what you like. But between 1st and 10th, only allowed bring in 2. And then from the 16th through to the end of the window, you can do whatever business you like. Colin said, Craig, maybe the standard contract should be 6 years. This would stop Madrid. So there's going to be a battle between clubs and players' agents on the power and the direction of football in the future. And the clubs will no doubt want to start putting in things like 6-year contracts, 7-year contracts, 5-year contracts, with clubs having an option of 1 or 2. But again, it depends what way the market is and how powerful the players and agents are. You know, if you've got an in-demand player, somebody like, let's say, Florian Wirtz as an example, you can probably go and dictate your terms to most clubs and say, well, no, we're only signing a deal for X number of years and we're not having an option for another year for the club. If there's an option for another year, then it's club and player. They'll have to approve it. And I just think it is going to see a change in the landscape of the way contracts are put out there. Because nobody's going to want to have what happened to Trent happen again. And I'm sure other clubs will sit up and take notice of this as well. Eli Wood said, I bet Edwards already has a few signings ready to be announced by the time the window opens. 100%. Absolutely. I would imagine without any hesitation that Edwards definitely has deals lined up ready. And Hughes, 100%. Right, so Romano, pissing on our cornflakes yet again, has said Real Madrid had a direct contact with Dean Huijsen's camp and the player's priority is confirmed. Real also registered release clause details, 50 million to be paid in 3 installments, not in one solution. Timing will be key as Chelsea, Liverpool and Arsenal are ready to advance. So, yeah, there you go. Once again, we can see Romano twerking for Madrid there and saying that the player wants to go there. So, let's wait and see how this one pans out. But I hope he doesn't join Madrid, but I also hope he doesn't join Chelsea and Arsenal. So let's wait and see. I feel like we need a win as a fan base right now. It's been a really difficult last 4 or 5 days for us because we've had a lot of infighting. We've had a lot of Liverpool fans being torn one way or the other over the Trent situation. We've had a lot of condescending assholes telling us all how to feel. And now I think we need a win. We need some positive PR back. And this is why I very much enjoyed the whole Frimpong situation today. Because it feels like this is going to be done soon. So, commentator in the Coventry-Sunderland game said that Liverpool are prepared to pay 25 million for Chris Rigg. Well, his name has been mentioned for a long time. I remember speaking to a journalist about Chris Rigg. It's somewhere between 6 months and a year ago, and being told that not just Liverpool but every Premier League club are keeping an eye on Chris Rigg because he's thought of as being a big talent. Don't know if we make a move there. I mean, is he ready to come in and play? No. So you're probably going to see another Ben Doak situation where if you'd signed him, you're sending him on loan again for a season. Yeah, so I just don't know on that one. I'm more concerned about the here and now players that have to come in this window, because we need a left back, we need a right back, we need at least one centre back, we need two centre backs if KONATE moves on. Midfield situation is still very intriguing. Is Bajcetic going to be the guy who's tasked with being a backup for Ryan Gravenberch? Is Stiller going to come in? Are we going to look at that guy from Athletic Club Bilbao, the 21-year-old whose name I can't pronounce? And then in attack, which two or three attackers may move on? Chiesa's future has to be resolved. If he goes, do the club even look to fill that space in the squad? You'd hope so. Then on top of that, we've got the future of young Rio, Trey Neone, James McConnell. What happens with them? It's really, really interesting. And one thing I keep hearing from journalists about Liverpool when I'm watching on TV or reading pieces is busy. Busy summer with incomings and outgoings and loans and everything else. So let's just hope we get cracking quickly and don't sit on our hands, and that we're not still sitting here talking about potential signings in July and August that we wanted done quickly. Anything on Ederson? Nope, nothing. I think I don't believe that Ederson is even of interest at this point. The one from Atalanta that I was so keen for us to sign. Yeah, it just feels like that one's not there. Unless, yeah, no, it just feels like it's not there anymore. Not gonna lie, I don't care about being nice with Bournemouth since we're regular in contact with the camp and discussing fees. Yeah, that feels a little bit weird as well, doesn't it? So the reports the other day were that Liverpool aren't going to try and unsettle Hoyson, Kirkes, Semenyo, or whoever, whilst Bournemouth were still playing. And now today we've seen, well, Madrid don't give a fuck. They've just come in and said, well, we want to pay the release clause. So yeah, you're right. Are we too nice? Let's wait and see. You know, the only thing keeping me semi-sane in all of this is I genuinely have a real trust in Michael Edwards, and I cannot for 1 second believe that there isn't a plan in place with him, because he has the power now. There is no button heads really with Jurgen or anymore. He's got his mate in there in Richard Hughes, who's going to be also pursuing deals to get them done. And I think I'm excited. Genuinely, I'm excited to see what they can do, because they are two people with a very, very good reputation in the industry. But it's all down to the people who sign the checks, and let's see if they're backed. And Nathan said, I feel that both Kirkes and Frimpong are done deals. Look, I would be at this point more surprised if they didn't happen yet. I think that's the fairest I can say on it. I am, yeah, I'm really confident on both of those two, the same as everybody else. But I can't reiterate this enough. I still don't think Arne Slot trusts Jarell Kwanzaa. And like I said months ago, I think in an ideal world for Slot, Kwanzaa gets sold. And if you disagree with me on that, no problem. But let's think back over the season. First game of the season, he was starting. He was going to be the guy alongside alongside Virgil at Ipswich. And he was pulled off at half-time for losing his battles. And we never really seen him given a run after that. He had little appearances here or there, a little bit at right back, a little bit at centre back, and particularly towards the end of the season, certainly looked more confident than he was. But I don't think Arne Slot would turn down an offer of 40 odd million if it came in. I think in an ideal scenario, my guess is Edwards is not too fussed whether KONATE stays or goes, because I think Edwards feels like he can replace him. So I don't think that's going to stress him out too much, and I think we will see a definitive quick decision on that one, but hopefully it's an extension. And if Ibu does stays, then I'm probably at 95% then that I expect Kwanzaa to go. And as I mentioned, David Ornstein on back pages last night on Sky said that he expects him to be sold. And as I mentioned at the start, I did rewind it back to make sure I heard it right, but he did say expect him to be sold. I thought Edwards was working directly for FSG and wasn't involved in getting us players. He will be involved in it. He is FSG's global football director or some bullshit like that. But sure, doing what? There's nobody else for him to be. He's hardly just around Europe and the world shopping for clubs. He will be over all of this. Himself and Mike Gordon will be over all of it. And then, of course, the recruitment team, the scouts, Will Spearman, everybody else. And then he's basically probably the bridge between FSG and the club at the minute is the way I'd look at that. And make no mistake about it, his influence will still be there. Is Jayden Danns no longer in Liverpool's future? No, he very much is. The problem with Danns is you can't say, well, we're going to give him a chance through the centre next season if you don't believe physically he'll be able to cope with it, because he's had injuries and back injuries that have pretty much ruled out this whole season. So the club need to know that Jayden Danns can physically get past that. I don't think anybody here would feel the club have any doubts about Jayden Danns' ability, because, it speaks for itself. So I do think we're going to see a Bajcetic situation there for Danns, and he'll have to prove that he can deal with the rigours of 1 or 2 games a week on his body, and hopefully it's just growing pains or something like that, or something that he can move past. But no, he definitely has a future. Do you know who I've not heard much about though? Koumas. I've not heard much about Lewis Koumas and what the future may be for him, or much on James McConnell, because we know McConnell would have been going out on loan for the second half of this season if Kyler Morton hadn't picked up that injury that ruled him out. So, quick favour to ask everybody, if I can, a couple of things. We've plenty of time left on the stream, so don't be going anywhere. We've loads of news to go through still. If I can ask you a couple of favours. One, if you haven't hit the like button, please do. And also, I mentioned this last night, but I'll re-mention it again. We have a musical act booked in now as well for both of our shows in Liverpool, and they're next week. I can't believe I'm saying that already, but yes, they are. Well, the Sunday show is next week. If you want to come and see us, you can get your tickets with a QR code on the screen. The show on the left is the last day of the season. We're going to have loads of fun. Premier League trophies going to be with us for both shows. We're going to have little mini trophies to give away to a few people as well. Hope you can come along and join us for them. They are all ages events, and you can get your tickets with the QR code on the screen there, or the link in the description. Right, Craig, would you be happy with Salah as the main striker and Danns as the second? No, because as I've just mentioned, I need to see what Danns is like physically over the course of a season. It would be too much of a gamble to go into next season relying on Danns. Look at him as a... what's the phrase I'm looking for? The cherry on the icing more than anything. I wouldn't be reliant on him, but if you want to keep him around and usually cup games from stuff like that, perhaps, but I don't think you could go in putting your future or next season on him staying fit and being able to play with Mo through the middle. Stephen said, will you have any clips live from your shows in Liverpool? So this is a question that I get asked quite a lot, and I've always been honest about it, Stephen. My preference is no, because when you do a show like that, one of the things that's key for me to do any of these is transparency and no holding back. If people want questions answered and they want honest answers, I'll give it to them, but I also don't want to get us in trouble. So maybe a few little tiny clips, but more often than not, we talk about subjects that I can't even go into more detail of here. So my shows are different to a lot of shows from the sense of, usually when you go into a show, the auditorium's dark and the spotlight is on the performer. I mix it up a bit. I have the lights at the same level so we can have a chat. I don't want to be shouting into a darkened room with someone. I want to have a proper conversation back and forth. And I'm usually led in the live shows by what people there want to talk about. I'll have subjects, of course, that I'll go through. The musician will play the songs, we'll have a laugh and all that. But ultimately, I'm there to just talk to people that have supported the channel. And I look at it as a town hall. And I'm there to answer questions, have a bit of crack with people, and give them honest unfiltered answers to stuff that would get me in a whole world of trouble legally on here. So that's why I've always been kind of anti-recording any of them or anything like that. And people who've come to the shows will know what I mean. So let's say there was a prominent Liverpool content creator that was in Ireland recently, and I got emails from some people that went to the show. And they went to the show and they said that, they spoke about Irish Liverpool players and they spoke about other stuff, blah, blah, blah. But they didn't speak about Trent. Not once during the entire show. And I just sat back and I thought, you're going to see a show about Liverpool with lads that you listen to their opinion, and they don't talk about the one subject that everybody wants to talk about. And that's definitely not me. I'm likely to come on stage and utter the words "fuck Trent" as the first sentence. So, yeah. I hope that makes sense. Any Dublin shows planned? Nope. It's too expensive, Nathan. Honestly, it's too expensive. We looked at doing one in the, was it the Academy? And it's just piss-takingly expensive, and the tickets would have to be the same. And we just try to cover our costs on live shows. We try to keep tickets as cheap as we can do them, which is why it's 20 quid for the shows, 20 quid for the one in Cork. But no, mate, nothing planned for Dublin. Cork, yeah, as you can see, we've got this one in Cork on the 8th of August at Cypress Avenue. So that one is booked in. But no, we've one more space for one more show. And I'm still waiting to figure out where it's going to go. I want it to be somewhere outside of the English and Irish Isles. Let's say I want it to be somewhere in Europe or in Canada or something. Excuse me. Right, anyway, enough about me, my shows and all that stuff. Let's get back to talking about the footy. Genuinely, Nathan, you wouldn't believe the cost, mate. Even just to open the door for a gig in Dublin is eye-wateringly expensive. What's this one? One sec. So a little bit of Bobby Firmino coming through now. Dave O.C. Cop posted this one to say, according to a report from Y Scores, Al Ali's president announced that the club and Firmino had reached the final agreement to end his contract after the current season. They go on to say, reached the final agreement with Brazilian star Roberto Firmino to end his contract with the team following the current season after a comprehensive financial agreement. They confirmed that the two parties reached a financial settlement that satisfied both sides, paving the way for Firmino to leave the team without any disputes in an official step to close the chapter. So there we go. Bobby Firmino will be moving on. Here's the stat we spoke about earlier on. Connors just sent me this. Anfield Edition, credit them for posting this. And they say, who scored most dribbled past Premier League defenders per 90 minutes this season? On top of it is Real Madrid's Trent Alexander-Arnold with 2.12 dribbles past him per game. Next, Ben White with 1.5. Victor Christensen, 1.5. Marcos Senesi, 1.4. And Lewis Hall, 1.4. So, there's only one Conor Bradley and all that. Do a Canada show. Would love to. Absolutely. Me and Conor would love to. But the problem we have for any shows is we're basically a two-man operation here. We've got a part-time guy who works with us on socials, but other than that, it's just me and Conor. And it's very difficult to take the time to research a venue, look at the population density, figure out how many Liverpool fans are in and around there, and if it's worth your while, because you're going to lose money. If I do a show in Canada, it's a lost show, and we accept that. We know we're losing money doing it. But we want to make sure we can at least get people in the door to have fun and to make it worthwhile for them. So that's where the problem is. So if anybody, as any city that you live in, that there's a Liverpool supporters club that would like us to come over, or you run a venue, I promise you, it's as easy as emailing me and we'll sort it out. We did a shout out where we said Cork, Galway, we need your help. Got loads of responses from Cork, and then within 2-3 days, show booked in Cork as promised. It is literally that simple for us. We just don't know how to find the venues. that are the right ones that suit people, because we don't have enough knowledge of the area. Right. Honestly, Craig, I think we've lost our minds the amount of times Trent has been cooked by any decent winger. One sec. Sorry. Do you know what? To be fair about it, I think his defending improved this season. And I've said that multiple times throughout the season. So, in other seasons, I think he's been rinsed at times. But I will say I do think he improved under Arne Slot in that regard. And also, it's a difficult position to play at Liverpool, to get up and down as much as we need them to. But, it is over now. And we know that we won't be looking at his numbers from next season because he won't be a Liverpool player. Would you do a show in Wexford? Haha. Yeah, definitely. If I ever got big enough, and we aren't big enough, I'd love to do the Wexford Opera House. It's amazing. There's the gory little theatre in the town where I live right here, like half a mile away from where my house is. And it holds, I think, about 200 people. So I've thought about doing one in Gorey, in the town that I'm from. So yeah, everything's on the table. It's as simple as just booking a venue. But for the next show, we do want to go outside of Ireland, in all honesty. We've got Cork coming up. We've done Belfast. We had Cardiff. This will be our third and fourth shows in Liverpool. So, what's this? Update on this. Oh, okay, so Arione. Do you remember, you've probably seen Arione colliding with the post in Nottingham Forest game. So update here from Mike Keegan said, Arione has been placed into an induced coma and is receiving intensive care following urgent surgery. Early signs are thought to be positive. Aim is to complete his operation tomorrow. So that situation, as much as he tried to carry on, obviously something was found quickly afterwards, and we do wish Taiwo Arione a full and speedy recovery. Our thoughts with his family, friends, of course, the Forest fans. Scary stuff. Scary, scary stuff. And, as a former Liverpool player as well, wish the man nothing but the best. Just shows his determination and spirit there to want to get back on the pitch for Forest, even with a very, very serious injury. And this is something we knew was going to happen at some point. Unfortunately, with the way the offside flag thing is, it always felt like it might take a severe injury to happen before this silly rule is looked at. Because how many times have we seen a situation where a player is clearly offside? We know they're offside, but of course the protocol is to let it play out before the flag goes up. And unfortunately, in this scenario, he collided with the post and is now unwell. And we don't want to see that to any footballer. So hopefully this starts a conversation where, if it is that obvious, put the fucking flag up. Because the amount of corners that I've seen as well that teams get when flags don't go up, that lead to goals and assists and stuff, or goals or chances. So again, we want the man to be safe and well. We want all footballers that take to the pitch to go home to their family safe and well. So we need to start again thinking about player welfare here and stop allowing these attacks to develop past when they need to. If it's close, by all means, but I'm not talking about the ones that are close. I'm talking about 3-4 yards that you can clearly see is off. So yeah, nothing but love to Taiwo and wish him a very speedy recovery. And of course, we'll give you any updates as and when they're out there. Funkyish, thank you, my man. Love you, Craig, and let's go Liverpool. Oh, ladies and gents, we're so close, by the way. Over the last 30 days, there's two ways of metrics for channels. You can look at the YouTube metrics, will give you 28 days, or you can look at the Social Blade metrics, which will give you 30 days. In 30 days, the last 30 days, our little community has had 9 million views on YouTube. 9 million views in the last 30 days on our little old community. So thank you all for your support and for letting people know about us and everything that you do to help our community. Thank you, because we're seeing record numbers. It's scary, lads. I think we worked out yesterday, between across social media, we've had nearly 20 million views over the last month. Between Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, And that's not even including the shorts channel. So wow, just wow. Thank you, really, from the bottom of my probably overworked heart. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I will work my ass off to try to repay the faith that you guys continue to show in us. Appreciate you all. So Stephen said Salah vice. I think I presume you mean captain. Certainly will be in that conversation. It depends what way Arna wants to go with it. If you're looking at seniority, yeah, Alisson, Salah, Joe Gomez, they'd all be in the mix. Longer term, I'd probably cast an eye towards Alexis McAllister. You know, I think that could be a good. I think Maka could be a good captain in the future. And I would also hope that maybe if Maka does eventually take over from Virgil as the captain, that would be another incentive to maybe keep him out of the grasp of Real Madrid, who we know look at him as another option for when Luka Modric hangs up his boots. If we get PSG, do you think? If we bet PSG, do you think we could have won the Champions League? 100%, absolutely. I've always said when the draw was made, whoever came through the left side of the draw, so the side that we were on, Arsenal were on, Madrid were on, PSG, Aston Villa, I thought the winner came from there. I'm not saying Inter or any mugs by any stretch of the imagination, but that was the one. Yeah, if we beat PSG, do I think we beat Aston Villa? Yes. Do I think we beat Arsenal? Yes, particularly because the second leg would have been at Anfield. So yeah, that was the one for me. And for what it's worth, I think we were knocked out by the winners. I do think they win it. Muckrab said, personally, I'm still not convinced with Virgil as captain. So I've wrestled back and forth with it. Ultimately, I'm on the side of, I now certainly see a lot more of why he's captain than I did previously. But there's one thing that we do defensively that really pisses me off, and it is unnecessarily put balls out for throw-ins when there are options. So how many times have we seen us defend where there is a situation where you could go back to a keeper, you could maybe turn and clear it, or you could just tap it out, reset and go again. And that always seems to be the solution we go with. And then I've seen us give up chances from them. So there are some things we do defensively that I think we're too lazy about. And I think that we are almost too robotic about resetting. So clear the ball, reset, defend. Clear the ball, reset, defend. But I think we could be a bit more adventurous at times. And Virgil is one of the main culprits in that for me. Oh, and another one that Muckrab said there, unnecessary fouls annoy me more. Well, for me, KONATE is the king of unnecessary fouls. He gives away more, in my mind anyway, you know, he gives away more needless fouls, being too touch tight to people than others. And he gives them away sometimes in advanced positions where he's up on the halfway line and that as well. But the wide areas, the free kicks we give away in there, you can all cast your mind back this season and probably think of 3, 4, 5 or 6 goals or chances that we give away from these sloppy free kicks we give out in wide areas where, let's say, Miles Lewis-Skelly just falls over with a gust of wind and then we give away a free kick and a chance comes from it. I don't remember who was fouled for the free kick that led to Saka's really good chance at the start of the game against Arsenal, but I remember feeling it was such a stupid free kick to give away. I don't know what you want me to say with this, but Craig, Liverpool FC still does not want to know you. You'll never walk alone means something different here. I don't have any idea what your intent is with that post or what you want me to do with that post. I don't really know how to interpret it, mate. I don't disagree that the club want nothing to do with us. You know, that's their prerogative, but I don't know what you mean by that. But nothing I can do about it either way. All I can do is keep trying to be here for our community and concentrate on making you guys happy and proud. That's all I ever want to do. So we'll see. Yeah, look, we don't get any acknowledgement, we know that, but it also isn't the motivation. The motivation is putting our community first. Have I ever had any rude encounters with people who know you online in public? No, genuinely haven't. Now, I'm not the most social human being in the world, so you probably won't see me out and about much. But um, no, nothing. I've only had nice interactions with people, to be honest with you. Couple of drunk, messy people on occasion who are United fans, maybe going a bit over the edge with banter, but no, nothing that I would ever say has made me concerned or anything. No, people are usually sound when you meet them out and about, even if they don't get on with you. I remember there was one occasion though, I was in Liverpool and we were at a boss night gig. It was in just before we went to Madrid, I think it was. And we were at this boss nights gig and I went to the loo, so I was away from everybody I was there with. So I went to the loo and I was coming back out and I was looking for everyone. I was looking around and I see this guy walking towards me. And like, I'm a big enough fella, but this guy was fucking, like, he would have squished me like a bug. Like, true Geordie size fella, like, big dude. And he's walking towards me and I'm here going, oh, bollocks, I'm about to get killed. Because, you still don't know, what people think of you or whatever at this point. And see this big dude coming towards me. Oh, shit, this is it, Craig. This is going viral. You're about to get your ass whooped in Liverpool, and this is going to be everywhere. And he was lovely, and he just came up and asked for a photo and was chatting away with me. But yeah, that was the only time that I was concerned. But I needn't have been. That was just my own stupidity, really. Declan said, "What have I missed?" Right. So for people who are coming in a bit late, let's go back through the main talking points for the day. The big news is it looks like Frimpong is very, very close to joining Liverpool. Multiple reports from Romano and loads of other journalists that say he wants to move. He wants to wear the Liverpool shirt. The deal is advancing. It's very close. And again, it looks like this is one that seems far more likely to happen than not happen. And you would say could happen in the next few days, or it could move quickly for an agreement. We also know that he has the release clause. We know that that can be paid in 4 installments. So again, that would not have a huge outlay. So yeah, that one I think is coming along nicely and we'll see happen soon. Cal said, what was your favourite game this season? Lucky to be at the Madrid 2-0, unreal atmosphere, but I think best performance Leverkusen. The Leverkusen game is my favourite because do you remember last year when we were in the Europa? And we didn't obviously make it to the final. There was always this conversation about what would have happened if we played Leverkusen, who would have won. And I always thought we had their number because of the way that they play. And to be able to prove that, although it was only one leg, not one leg, one game, it was at Anfield, but we beat them comprehensively. And that to me, I felt very satisfied because I wanted to see that happen because like if you're a fan of mixed martial arts or boxing, there be styles that make fights, as they say, and some boxers or fighters are tailor-made for another type. I always felt like we'd have Leverkusen's number, and it was nice to just get that. Yeah, you were right, you did. Same way, I've always been convinced that Anthony Joshua would beat Tyson Fury. Always been convinced of that, even when, Fury was at his pomp and Joshua had fallen away a bit. I've just always had it in my mind that if they ever fight, and we may see it, I just think Joshua wins. And I think Fury is probably the better boxer and would probably rightly be favoured to go into the fight. But there's just something there that makes me think if they ever fought, the way they gel, I would always thought AJ would win. JG94 said, reckon it's done by this week. Yeah, could very well be. What's this? So Bajcetic picked up an injury, apparently, playing tonight for Las Palmas. Not sure how serious it is, but he has been subbed off as he couldn't continue. So just one little update there on that one for you. Hopefully it isn't too serious, but again, thank you, Mark, for sending that on. Right, let's look through more. Let's talk about this centre-back again for a little bit. One sec. So, the Sam Maguire exclusive that said Liverpool have Thomas Araujo on their radar this summer as an alternative to Dean Huijsen. plays for Benfica, 22 years of age, right-sided centre-back that can also play as a right-back. And this one's intriguing. I haven't had the chance to read the piece yet from Sam. So has there been a number or anything mentioned? And I wonder that Pedro Marquez have a bit to play in this as well. The guy who joined Liverpool's recruitment team. Or was it the recruitment team or I can't remember what exact part of the club he joined. Was he head of youth development at Benfica or something? Anyway, sorry, I'm thinking out loud. I wondered was his name all over this potential signing because, of course, he'd have great knowledge of the Benfica players. So I was asking at the start of the stream for other options at right centre-back if it looks like Hoyson goes to Madrid, which, Romano and others are now starting to spout lots of stuff to say that Madrid are making a move and the player wants to move. So if this is another option, then I hope we move quickly on it. Next signing after Frimpong has to be Haddo, in my opinion. I want Kirkes, but I also want Haddo. And I want Haddo because of that versatility, that he can play left back or centre back. And in a year's time then, if we do lose Andy Robertson when his contract's up or the club doesn't think he's worth renewing, again, it gives us another good option. Also, I would add into this, in my thinking of bringing in Haddo, I was selling Kwanzaa. I know Kwanzaa's a right-sided centre-back, by the way, but I just think bring him in, bring the right-sided centre-back in, and I'd be happy. So I think we need 2 centre-back options brought in this summer. But with regards to Haddo, I've never been able to nail anybody down to tell me how strong the interest is. We're obviously aware of him. We know he's good friends with Gravenberch. I think he was at a Liverpool game this season, if my memory's right. And he's a very realistic option. But if we're talking left back, as in just for the left back role, I think it's Kirkes every day of the week. As in better fit for the team, I mean. Any new developments on Xavi Simons? Really, really good question, Stephen, because I asked the same thing to somebody earlier on. It's gone quite quiet on Xavi Simons, and we were talking earlier on about Ryan Cherky and whether he's going to be worth taking a punt on. I just don't see the €70 million value in Xavi Simons at Liverpool. Is he really worth it? And also, we don't want basically the whole team to be the Dutch national team. If you're bringing in Frimpong, you have Gakpo, you have Virgil van Dijk. You don't want to be just adding in more in there as well. Ryan Gravenberch, of course, as well. We don't want to have 6, 7, 8 players from one national team there. You want to mix it up a little bit. So I'm just not sold on Xavi Simons as a footballer myself. But my opinion, of course, doesn't matter one bit. But it defo seems to have gone quieter. Or maybe it's just that I'm not looking. I don't know. But I'm not seeing much on it anyway. Right, ladies and gents, I'm going to say goodnight and go record a news video with some updated news that's in my inbox that I haven't even had a chance to get through yet. And I will recap everything we've gone through tonight. So, again, thank you to all of you for your support. If you can hit that like button for me, if we can get to 1,000 likes, that would be incredible. Don't forget, live shows coming up. If you want to get your tickets to our May 25th title celebration party or our reunion show May 28th, both of them are on sale now. We've confirmed music act for both shows as well. That'll be banging out all the Liverpool favourites, and we will see you guys there with the Premier League trophy for some fun. I'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. See you guys here at 8:45. And again, have a good one. Great fun tonight. Appreciate your time. We'll talk then.